Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024, and the time now is 6 p.m. and I will call to order this regular meeting of Town of Mead Board of Trustees. In accordance with the town's remote participation and remote meeting policy adopted by the Board of Trustees on March 13th, 2023, by resolution number 21-R 2023, remote participation will be allowed. The meeting link has been provided on the town's website, designated posting places 24 hours prior to this meeting. I'd like to remind everyone present, both in person and virtually, of the town's general guidelines for public comment at open meetings. The guidelines are available online and on the entry table. There are two public comment opportunities on the agenda for persons in attendance at the town hall to address the board. The first is limited to items on the agenda, and the second public comment opportunity allows any subject, whether it is on the agenda or not. Marisol, roll call, please.
Mayor Whitlow.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright. Trustee Adams.
Here.
Trustee Broadhead. Trustee Harris. Trustee Parr.
Here.
Trustee Schranz.
Here.
Mayor Whitlow, today is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024, and you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Memorial Day was celebrated yesterday, and in a way to honor and mourn those military personnel who have died while serving our country. Please join me in a moment of silence for those who have died in service for our country. Thank you very much for your time. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next is review and approve agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda. Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Trustee Adams.
Yes.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Motion carries. We have an agenda for this evening. Next is our staff report by our town manager. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Trustees. You have my report. There are a few things I'd like to emphasize. Remember, Fishing is Fun is this Saturday out at Highland Lake. Also, we have a couple opportunities this week for you. Tomorrow night is the CML district meeting. It's in Johnstown at 5 o'clock. If any of you decide you want to go, just let Mary know and we can get you in still. We also, on Thursday, is the groundbreaking for segment 5. This ceremony was put together rather quickly. We just heard about it last week. So, but that doesn't make it any less important. It simply came onto our calendars pretty quickly. So that's at 11 o'clock on Thursday. Also, I did want to let you know, it's looking like we're going to be setting our groundbreaking for the community center on June 24th. I believe that's right before our board meeting on the 24th. So hopefully we can have everybody there for that. Also, I wanted to let you know that Comcast or Xfinity, as they're called now, as you know, they have a franchise agreement with the town, and they've been busily installing fiber. Well, they came in today and got a peddler's license. So they may be knocking at your door. They are within the next month, neighborhoods will start to go live. So just know they will have a legitimate license to knock at the doors. They're going to offer some kind of deals for you all to sign up. So they also, if anybody has any issues with installation, whether it's the mainline installation or anything that happens in your yard, they're there as a point of contact. So it's exciting because it's offering another choice for internet for our community. And that's all I have.
Questions, comments? David?
I was just going to throw out,
So they came through like in Coyote Run, they put all the boxes in, but do you know when they're actually going to start running the fiber optic, or do you know how?
Well, that they've been running the fiber optic,
Okay.
so they're actually, the lines are in many neighborhoods are in the ground. So now though, the key is getting it to your house. So that's where they'll be, you have to give them right to do it. And then there'll be an easement in front of your property where they can run the line, and then you figure out how you want it to go to your house. It's fairly interactive.
So the boxes that they put in throughout the development, though, they haven't wired those up yet, have they? That's the question I was asking. They haven't come.
I can't say neighborhood, but I asked him
Okay.
that today, and
Okay.
he was sort of scant on those details. so.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, thanks. Harmon? Thank you.
I have a good news question. With the I-25 expansion, I have been getting tons of questions from citizens about what's going on. When's it starting? Is the frontage road going away? Those kinds of things. Some things I can answer. Some things I get stuck. I don't know if I can answer it correctly.
Mhm.
I'm expecting that there's going to be even more conversations coming up from the citizens in regards to that, only because it's something they've all been waiting for anyway, but now it's here, they're seeing stuff happen. Do we have, or should we have, some talking document that we can talk from that says, here's everything that's going on, here's rough time frames, so on and so forth. I just want to make sure whatever information is being put out is correct. I don't want to start guessing, which I find myself doing at times. I couldn't for a long time figure out if we're putting in stoplights or a
Roundabout.
roundabout,
Do you know which one we are?
stoplights.
Good.
But yeah,
Um,
I passed.
Yeah.
But it would be handy for me anyway. I don't know about the other, and I don't know if any of the board members are getting questions in regards to that.
Well, I would say, when we had our open house where we had the representative CDOT, I hesitate to tell their story. I mean, I could answer all those questions that you just asked based on information of today, but it's a rapidly evolving story.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I could tell you for the time being, the frontage road will stay there. Also, assuming Venus aligns with Mars on the 9.5 construction, that frontage road will not be incorporated into the roundabout that is going to be on the east side of I-25 at Welker. So I can answer those questions based on right now, but nothing's set in stone. They have started, that we all know, and the project will go on for about 4 years. But in terms of specifics, we have their website. We also have ABRA. We have several people that can address it from CDOT. But I really hesitate to tell their story because the minute I say something, then we find out that there's either more money or less money and something has to be removed. And then I hate to set false hopes.
So you know where I'm at,
Mhm.
because I'm in the same boat. I don't want to give the wrong information out, and I hear a lot of stuff about it. We all do. And you're right, it's constantly changing from day to day. But
So can I just interrupt just
Sure.
for a second? They have a dedicated page on CDOT just for the segment 5. And it changes it starts Monday through Sunday. There's a construction or traffic impact by day, on that segment. So if we can pass that out to folks, it's a dedicated page just for this segment. I know I've been working on it for 10 years plus.
I think that would be a
So-
great idea if we can get it out. there.
Yeah, and we have been trying to, so if we could get maybe Lorelei, if we could get that line, that dedicated website page to the board, at least we have the same talking points and the same URL that we send to people, but it is a dedicated web page just for that segment.
That'd be great.
So I just wanted to add that.
No, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That
And it
would help.
does change.
Anything that would help answer these questions that I don't find myself getting wrapped around the axle.
Well, they'll get worse too, because the traffic impacts are going to get worse.
I know.
So I think
That's why I'm expecting
the
even,
questions will be more pointed.
yes,
So,
they will be.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get that. Maybe we can even print up a card and have
That would
it.
be great.
You know,
Something
you could have
hand
it.
out.
Yes.
That would be terrific. Thank you.
Mhm.
I got one.
Go ahead, Chris.
So with I-25 and the ridiculousness that's coming, I know that we have dust mitigation plan for Road 7 where it's unpaved, but 38 and 7, the last 2 weeks, in the past, I might have one car there in the morning or in the afternoon. I now wait 10 to 15 minutes because the traffic is backing up consistently. Can we look at possibly turning that into a 4-way stop? Because the people coming down the hill, I'm petrified they're going to fly off that at the speed they're going as it is, even if it is dust mitigated and everything, because they're not doing 45. There's no way. And it's just become, and I know there's people in my development have complained because they're having to wait at that intersection now so long because it's only a stop for those on 38. 7 is a straight through.
I mean, I can talk to Erica about it. Maybe we can have our traffic engineer. You know, it's sometimes you really have to make sure it works in terms of it can be really dangerous, especially if people are going 50 miles an hour and then you put a stop sign in and people aren't looking at it, but we can take a look at it. I can't guarantee it. but
Yeah,
we
I know
could
that.
look at it.
I know with CDOT, that's going to become with I-25, Road 7 is going to become the shortcut that basically every map app is going to tell them to take. Get off at Berthoud, go down 7. Even though people know it's not paved, they're still going to do it. They
Well-
do it now when it backs up slightly.
Well, and at your next board meeting, you will be entertaining an IGA with Berthoud for us to look at paving it. And if you think it's fast now, if it gets paved, it definitely will be faster, but we can take a look at that.
Okay. Anything else? All right, thanks, Helen. All right, we'll move on to our first public comment of the night. The board welcomes public comment at this time for any item on the agenda. We will take comments for items not on the agenda during the second public comment period, number 8. The board will listen to your comments and take them into consideration. If you desire a conversation, please email the board or the town manager or attend the monthly coffee with the mayor. If you wish to speak during this public comment period, please adhere to the town's general guidelines. Please start by stating your full name and address for the record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the Board of Trustees. If you are representing a group, you will have 5 minutes. Is there anyone here in the room that would like to speak to the board to this first public comment period? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our consent agenda. The consent agenda contains items which are considered routine and are approved with one motion and vote. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as is.
Second,
Thank you. Roll call, please, Marisol.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
trustee Schranz,
Yes.
trustee Parr,
yes.
Mayor Willow.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you, staff, for putting the consent agenda together for us tonight. Next is our public comment of this for our second regular public comment period. This comment period is for any item, whether it is on the agenda or not. All other guidelines previously state apply. Is there anyone here in the room that would like to speak at this second public comment period? Come on forward. And state your name and address for the record. And welcome.
My name is Tom Wilzinski. I reside in Loveland, Colorado.
Hi, I'm Autumn Todd and I reside in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Thank you for this time. Some of you may recognize us. Autumn and I led the initiative in 2021 to get legal cannabis on the ballot to get a few stores here in Mead. And as you recall, we lost that election. It was a poor turnout of voters. It was, I believe, a rainy night, and it was an off presidential election. And so this time, being 2024, being a presidential election, we would like to get the initiative to put dispensaries or allowing a few dispensaries to go get into business here in Mead. And we would like this time We were so close last time that we would like the city council and the city of Mead to consider just putting the initiative on the ballot without us having to do a petition drive, which we could probably get done. We got it done fairly quickly last time, but we had a very positive initiative on the petition. So this time being an election, we figured the turnout would be much better, and we're requesting your consideration.
Thank you very much for coming tonight. What I'd like to do is ask staff to present some options to the board, and then we'll let you know what the board decides to do in the near future.
Perfect.
Yeah, so thank you very much. It's nice to see you both again.
Yes.
Thank you. It's nice to see all of you as well.
Yeah, you take care. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak during this second public comment period? All right, I'm going to turn it over to our town attorney for our legislative session recap, and I'm so glad it's done.
Is it not on? Now it's on? Okay. So in 2023, I was saying it was a much more progressive legislative agenda overall. I think this year is characterized by the fact that it seems like the more centrist Democrats in both houses, both in the House of Representatives and the Senate, were able to kill some of the bills that were introduced and also moderate or offer significant amendments to others. Also, the Republicans in the House elected new leadership at the start of the session, and it seems like the Republicans were probably more unified. And again, this is a broad brush strokes, but I think the Republicans were more unified this go around than they were last year. So last year in 2023, you'll remember that the Governor Polis and the administration failed to pass Senate Bill 23-213, which was the marquee land use bill, and it was at that time it was arguably the biggest attempt in recent history to take away some local land use regulatory authority away from cities and towns. And there was an almost unified statewide opposition to that bill. And as you remember, at the end of the session last year, I think given the size of that piece of legislation and how complicated it was, it ended up failing at the end of the session. So what happened this year in 2024 is a lot of those elements that were contained in Senate Bill 23-213 came back, but they came back as distinct, I'll call them more bite-sized pieces of legislation. And of that package that was ultimately introduced by the administration, the Board of Trustees ultimately voted to officially oppose 4 pieces of legislation, 3 of which were included in that kind of land use or housing arena. And I'm going to give you kind of an update as to what ultimately happened with those 4 bills that the board elected to officially oppose. House Bill 24-1007 was the first of the housing bills to pass the legislature. The bill prohibits local governments from limiting the number of people who may live together in a single dwelling unit, regardless of familial relationship. This bill was not officially opposed by the Board of Trustees. What this bill does is it says that a local government can still regulate the number of inhabitants in a dwelling unit, but it has to be tied to a minimum square footage requirement, and it has to be also tied to a specific health, safety, or welfare criteria. Amendments were passed to clarify that a local government may only implement residential occupancy limits based on demonstrated health and safety standards such as international building code standards or adopted fire code regulations. So that's why I think in Fort Collins, for example, the U+2 regulation is no longer in place, and you've seen this distinction a lot where a local government will put a cap on the number of unrelated individuals that can live in a dwelling unit. This bill removes that ability unless it is specifically tied to a health or safety regulation. House Bill 241152. This is the ADU bill. This is the second bill championed by the Polis administration, was a piece of this larger carryover effort from 2023. This is one of the bills that the Board of Trustees officially opposed. The main component of the bill imposes a top-down residential zoning standards on municipalities that are located within the boundaries of an MPO, and makes accessory dwelling units or ADUs a use by right. The bill was amended in the Senate to allow local governments more flexibility in regulating ADUs, including allowing governments to require certain owner occupancy requirements, allowing for setbacks, and clarifying that parking for an ADU may be required if the local government does not allow on-street parking. Despite opposition from CML and other local governments, this bill passed with bipartisan support. House Bill 241313. This is the transit-oriented communities bill. This was another of the kind of divided approach that we had during the 2024 session. This was probably the governor's main priority in the housing or land use bill package. This again was one of the 4 bills that the Board of Trustees officially opposed. This bill mandates rezoning of certain areas around rail and bus transit corridors by local governments within MPOs, and requires those jurisdictions to set a housing opportunity goal, which is calculated by multiplying the land area within a transit area by 40 units per acre. Cities and towns are then obligated to meet that housing goal through an array of requirements. If you remember, one of the or 2 of the components of this bill early on was that the state was going to withhold the HUTF funding, and also there was going to be an ability for the Division of Local Affairs or Department of Local Affairs or DOLA to have the ability to seek an injunction against non-compliant communities. When this bill made it to the Senate late in the session, there were over 30 amendments made to the bill, largely in response to objections from more moderate Democratic senators. The bill did ultimately pass, although in a much weaker form, and notably the withholding of the HUTF revenue and DOLA's authority to seek an injunction against non-compliant jurisdictions were ultimately taken out or stripped out of the bill. There are certain components of the bill that still arguably preempt local zoning and land use regulatory authority, and it remains to be seen. But I think that there's probably a good likelihood that 1 or 2, or if not a coalition of more than 2 of the home rule municipalities in Colorado may mount a challenge to this piece of legislation, that it violates Section 6 of Article 10 of the Colorado Constitution. Let's see, House Bill 241304. This is the bill that prohibits municipalities with a population of 1,000 or more from enacting or enforcing minimum parking standards. This bill is also one of the four that the Board of Trustees officially opposed this session. This bill easily passed in the House of Representatives, but faced a tougher road in the arguably more conservative Senate. This bill was ultimately amended heavily on the Senate floor, where the sponsors agreed to offer about 12 amendments to the bill that significantly walked the requirements of the bill back. Changes to the bill at the end of the session included limiting the areas where a local government cannot require minimum parking standards to transit areas, and eliminating the reporting requirements that the cities and towns had to the state. The fourth bill that was opposed by the Board of Trustees this past session that was not included in the housing or land use area was House Bill 241168, which was the Equal Access to Public Meetings bill. And that bill died in appropriations, so will not become law. So just to conclude, of the four bills that were opposed by the board this past session, one failed, and three were passed, albeit with significant amendments that the bills did pass, but in a significantly different form than those pieces of legislation were in when the board elected to oppose those bills. A couple of other quick items of note related to some bills that I mentioned during previous legislative updates. House Bill 241107 ultimately was adopted and is awaiting the governor's signature. It was sent to Governor Polis on or about May 8th. This is the bill that protects local governments from frivolous lawsuits over legitimate local land use decisions. And this bill permits the award of attorney's fees to local government entities in any action involving residential use with a net density of more than 5 dwelling units per acre. The previous version of the bill didn't, it was for any local land use decision. It would have awarded or had the ability for a local government to recover its attorney's fees. This is now limited to residential use with density of more than 5 dwelling units per acre. So while it's more limited in scope than as originally introduced, it does bear more of a relation to, I think, some of the state's kind of stated housing and density goals that I think we heard during the 2024 session. And then finally, House Bill 241283. This is the bill that this is also passed. It's been sent to the governor for signature. This allows a city or town to refer municipal finance campaign complaints to the Secretary of State if there is an actual or perceived conflict of interest, or if the city or town does not have its own complaint or hearing process in place. So this is, we've just started to kind of review the final bill in detail, but I do think it's more likely than not that we'll be recommending that we make an amendment to the code to remove the hearing officer language that we have in there so that we do have the flexibility to refer these complaints if we do get them in the future to the Secretary of State. So we'll work with Mary's office on that, but I would think we'd probably be in a position to bring something forward in probably the fall of this year. But happy to stand for any questions. But I did want to just highlight kind of what happened with those 4 pieces of legislation that you guys were originally interested in. So
Thank you, Marcus. Questions, comments? Yahoo, it's done.
until next year.
I know. All right, well, thank you very much for the update. All right. Next is our elected official reports. Any of the town trustees would like to report on anything? Okay, seeing none. Coffee with the mayor is this Saturday, and of course, Fishing with Fun is also on Saturday, and I look forward to seeing lots of people at both events. Next, do you have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Roll call, please, Marisol.
Trustee Schranz,
Yes.
trustee Adams,
Yes.
trustee Parr,
Yes.
Mayor Willow.
Yes. The May 28th, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is now adjourned at 6:28. Thank you very much. Excuse me, my clock, it's 6:30. regular time, 6:30. My clock says 6:28. So I would say strike 6:28, 6:30. Thank you very much. We will be going home. Very much.